Pokemon ZA was just announced with a teaser trailer. The highly anticipated sequel to Arceus coming out just after Palworld hit new heights in indie gaming, especially on Steam. You might have some reasons why you don't want to compare Pokemon ZA to Palworld, but I think you're being a little silly, but maybe you're being a little silly. Let's have a quick discussion about all that. One of the first things you might say is, hey, Dot, you don't make a game in a year, you don't make a game in 3 months. That's completely valid. But Game Freak was totally aware of the success that Arceus was. I mean, how would they not be aware? Their freaking pockets were being weighed down by dollar bills. They came out that bitch looking like Scrooge McDuck. So they must have started working on it shortly after. And yeah, the reception to Arceus was really good because it was a great game. It was a great game. There's no reason why that it wouldn't need a sequel. In fact, Arceus was one of the best games that Pokemon had produced in many, many years. There's not a whole lot of people that would argue against that. With it slated for 2025, that tells us they gave them extra time to work on this because they know the competition is stiff now. When Pocket Pair dropped Palworld, Nintendo was all like, huh? You could do that? I mean, a lot of us were like that. It really took the gaming world by storm. Nobody had seen such a good attempt at recreating a classic formula in monster catching. But Nintendo got hit the hardest with it. I mean, they released that statement that was saying, hey, we're going to look into copyright stuff. And that could have been for multiple reasons. Maybe it was to get the Pokemon shills off their back, or they really were afraid of competition. Either one doesn't look great, and the statement honestly should have never been released. Don't cave into shills or trolls or anything toxic, Nintendo. You know better than that. With the 2025 release date, that tells us that they're probably going to want to launch this with Switch too, and that could clear up what that whole simultaneously thing means. They could have been a little bit more descriptive. There are some people putting their heads together trying to figure out what that means, but me personally, I think it's very simple. I think it just means Switch 1, Switch 2, yada yada. Not to mention all the technical difficulties that we saw with Scarlet and Violet. People had bugs everywhere. The whole game was a mess. It was pretty simple. I didn't think that game was that extravagant. I thought there was a little bit more to Sword and Shield, if I'm being honest. That might be a controversial take. I like Sword and Shield more than Scarlet and Violet. Scarlet and Violet felt very rushed, quick, and easy, and it wasn't much a thing. And that's the biggest problem with Scarlet and Violet, is Arceus made this brilliant system that worked so well, that was so well received by everyone in the gaming community. It was just finally Nintendo trying something new, and then Scarlet and Violet just kind of dumbed it down, and it just felt almost like an idle game at some points. I played Arceus well after I beat it. I completed the decks, I got the shiny charm, I enjoyed every second of it. I did get a little bored later on, but I plan to go back. Now I don't really see me having to do that. As long as they don't tweak or touch too many of the ideas from Arceus into ZA, we should be good, because the foundation is great. Now there's plenty they could do to expand upon it. What I think would be a really cool idea for them is that they took ZNA and they put us in the future. Arceus went to the past. Why can't we just throw them in the future, man? I think that'd be really fun, possibly even fitting for X and Y. I did not play X and Y. It was at a time where I was kind of done with Pokemon. I stepped away right after Ruby and Sapphire, and then eventually came back. I do need to replay through them all. I would love to. I have seen playthroughs on them, and I know the story pretty well. I didn't come back until Omega Ruby and Omega Sapphire, so. Fake fan! He hasn't played every single second of Pokemon since he was born. He took time out to go play other shit. Yeah, there's your ammunition. Go ahead, light me up. There's lots of fun theories on who the starters can be. What they did with Arceus was really smart, in that they implemented 3 classic starters from different generations, and we should probably expect that again. But to add on to that and make it even cooler, they gave him new typings and new evolutions. We should definitely expect that. We gotta remember ZNA is gonna be a spin-off game just like Arceus. That's why it's got the Pokémon Legends tag. But I think the expectations are gonna be very high for this. There's a lot riding on this. Nintendo knows that. Game Freak knows that. You know that. Your mother knows that. Trust me, she told me. And why is that? Well, it's for a couple of different reasons. They've pretty much soiled their reputation among casual fans and people that haven't really touched Pokemon. Not only that, but they live in the shadow of Palworld's success and kind of a humiliation on people saying, hey, they went and tried something new, why didn't you? And yes, Palworld is not directly a Pokemon clone, not by any means. It just has monster catching. Let's remember, Pokemon wasn't the first game to do monster catching, but it is a survival game. That doesn't mean it doesn't share similarities with Pokemon. It obviously certainly does. You can tell yourself it doesn't, but let's be real here, okay? It's Pokemon with guns, at least at face value. We can appreciate Pokemon with guns. The population of Palworld did drop, but I personally expected that to happen. I said a prediction that it would float around 200 to 500,000 for at least a year, and that's where we're at after, what has it been, a couple of months? But it was still incredibly successful, and they're still breaking records that Pokemon used to shatter back in the day. They used to be the kings of it all. Movies, television, games, you name it, manga. Come on. All I'm saying is if Palworld was smart, they'd jump on all those things right away. I mean, Temtem was supposed to have an anime series. That's another Pokemon-inspired game. Where's the series? No one knows. Could you imagine if Palworld had a TV series that was intended for adults? Like adult content, but not the weird, creepy kind? Which they could do that too with Love-Ander, but let's ask them not to do that. Let's everyone ask Pocket Pair, which the name alone is very sus, not to make a Love-Ander adult content show. Please, God, don't let Netflix sway you. There's been an ongoing battle between Pokemon shills and Palworld enjoyers, and probably some shills already. But I'm one of the few that teeters right down the line. I love both Palworld and Pokemon. I can't wait to see what Palworld does with their IP. I love Pokemon so much that I play Pokemon Sleep before bed. If you didn't know that was a game, that is a game, and it is exactly what it sounds like, I swear to you. I mean, it's not like I'm trying to hide my love for Pokemon. I've actually gotten some really mean comments about this guy. Come on, it's Pikachu, dude. It's the one Squishmallow I own. My wife loves Squishmallows, and when I saw that the Pokemon collection came out, I was adamant that I got Pikachu to go along with my insane Pikachu card collection. I grew up with Pokemon, and it's never gonna leave me, even if they make another bad game. Scarlet and Violet, I wouldn't say is necessarily a bad game, but it is a massive step down, and it was a huge disappointment to pretty much everyone. Now we're all aware there's an audience chasing something similar to Pokemon. The competition is there. This is what gets Game Freak and Nintendo off their asses, scheming up something great. I just mentioned my expectations were super high, and I was absolutely crushed with Scarlet and Violet, and I'm doing it again. I'm doubling down. That's right. My expectations are even higher than they were before. I personally think competition is the best thing in the gaming industry. I mean, who doesn't? All Nintendo gave us was a teaser trailer. So with that, we can't expect to really learn much about the game from it. I like the artistic direction the teaser goes with, and I think Pokemon probably put some money behind that. The marketing so far off of the one teaser is really good. Plus, that song was dope. I mean, that was a jam, bro. I was bobbing my head the whole time. I really like the music choice they did there. It brought me back to Sword and Shield's Gym Leader battle theme, which was absolutely a banger. Now, it was like 2 or 3 a.m. when I watched the trailer, so I was a wee bit tired. I still had a bit of energy left, so I was enough to get excited, but I may have missed something in there. So if I did, and I'm being stupid as hell right now, please let me know what I missed. Or you can just let me know what you want to see from Pokemon ZA. Can we talk about that naming convention? Pokemon ZA? I mean, I get it. X and Y, Z and A. I mean, I guess I get it. It's just weird because it goes Z and then you're done with the alphabet, bud. Did you not learn the song? Whatever. Nintendo likes to be weird, and at least it's creative, I guess. I can't stress how much Nintendo and Game Freak need a win here. Pokemon is on the path of 1,000 cuts. It might not ever die, but it still could eventually if they continue to make huge mistakes. I love Palworld. I love Pokemon. I refuse to shill for either game. Any game, really. I just want great games all the time. We should all support this competition and hope that Nintendo and Game Freak can bring back their former glory and give us something great like they've done so many times in the past. If that means we'll see the release date delayed, bring it on. If that means we'll have a 40 gigabyte download because it's so big and packed full of content, bring it on. If that means price hikes and Pokemon will be $100, oh, no, wait, not that one, not that one. Bye. Since you aren't eating Pokemon anymore, can you eat Pokemon plushies? I'm not gonna eat, Ev, I'm not gonna eat anything too obscure, just spicy foods now. How many bits to eat a whole pack? That's gonna send me to the hospital. I'm not doing that. Your kid is gonna be able to watch this moment in your life when they grow up. What's that supposed to mean?